You are live, it says. So that means that we now are, and people should be able to see us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. And I can see a nice pop-up on Facebook, so that indeed seems to work. And there should be a stream on Twitter as well. And of course our friends on YouTube should be able to see us there as well. And that now also says that we're live.
Does it also say howdy? Because that is a very important thing.
I don't think it says howdy just yet.
I just commented howdy everyone, and the StreamYard interface tells me that it should have gone out to.
Yeah, so there is a slight delay. So
that is annoying. I hate delays.
Yeah.
There we go.
So,
I see it come through.
Yep, there it is. And we already have people on Facebook saying hi, so
good.
Awesome. Hi, folks.
It's not just the three of us.
Just the two of us.
That will be in a minute. I will leave you to it in a bit.
That's what this needs. We need a music intro, a jingle. We need an SEO jingle.
So I actually have a jingle now, but it's not for this thing. It's for the, you heard it here first, Yoast SEO podcast.
That's exciting.
Ooh.
Which this isn't.
This isn't. That's because a vodcast and a podcast are two different things.
Apparently so.
A vodcast is with video, and a podcast is with audio only.
Yeah, well, interesting actually, getting ahead of ourselves, but we did a bunch of research into this because we wanted to look into ways that we could best format that content and mark it up with schema and all sorts of things. And it turns out that Google don't have a concept of a podcast with video or a vodcast without audio. Like, it's either a video or a podcast, and there is no middle ground. Very strange.
So this comment by Boss, as this should be our intro music, is... First of all, hi, boss. Second, I fully agree with you. This should be our intro music, but I don't think we can afford the rights.
Ooh, yeah. Ouch.
Yeah, so everyone who just joined us, yes, Rick actually was suggested as our leader music for this podcast. All right, so I think we have quite a few people joining us already.
Well, let's start because we have shit tons of stuff.
Yeah, as every month, I think our cheat sheet says it was slow news this month, and as always, there's plenty. So everyone, please let me introduce you to Joost, founder and CPO or Chief Product Officer at Yoast, and of course one of the most brilliant masterminds in SEO out there. And Jono Alderson, our digital strategist, marketing technologist and full stack developer, and also one of the leading technical SEOs.
He just makes shit up as he goes along. I swear.
Change every week.
And it gets more challenging every month. So I'll leave you in their good hands and have fun, everyone.
Thank you, Taco. Lovely.
Thank you. Okay, so hi, everyone. We will start. Let me actually move to the next slide. Hey, we have a slide because we have started. We have a bit of news here and there. And we have slides for all of it. So we're going to talk about it and see where it goes. First of all, Jono, you wanted to highlight this video that Google did. I made a screenshot of one of the more interesting images that popped up during.
It's an interesting choice. Yeah, no, this was really nice. This isn't the kind of usual stuff that we cover. This is essentially a PR move by Google, but it's a really good one. It's really nice. It's a an hour-long video. I had to check the time there. It's an hour long, but it's a really excellent introduction into how Google works from a mechanical perspective, the kinds of things they're trying to achieve, some of the kinds of problems they're trying to solve. And it's a really nice intro into that world and that ecosystem. And there were lots of interviews and candid conversations with people who worked on the original algorithms, with people who were involved in some of the commercial models and decision making. It's a fascinating insight into a kind of broad overview of that world that you might not get otherwise. So if bits of SEO are a bit new to you, or you want a refresher on some of the kind of more Google-esque side of it, this is great. It's a really good watch.
Well, it's very interesting to hear Google talk about itself.
Yes, they've not done a lot of that historically.
No, and funnily enough, I'm actually happy with it because they show us that it's not simple what they're doing, and sometimes people seem to think that search is something relatively simple now, or a solved problem or whatever, but it's so hard. So yeah I'm kind of happy with this. Okay. Google warned us or told us or made us very happy by saying that as of May 2021, page experience will be rolling out. And what does that mean, actually, Jono?
What does that mean? This is, as you hinted at, depending on the current state of your site, this might be great news or bad news. This is Google formally announcing and putting a timeline on the performance of your site in terms of its speed, its efficiency, the quality of the code, and a bunch of other things around that will be a ranking factor, will affect where you turn up in the search results versus your competitors. Now, on the other side of that, they've said this isn't going to be a huge ranking factor. There are more important things like your content, your popularity, other things. But this is them really, really saying very firmly your page speed, your core web vitals metrics, which is what they use to determine your performance overall. These are really, really important for user experience, for quality, for conversion, and now for core SEO. So if you're not already paying attention to your site speed, to the kinds of metrics that they're signposting and providing in their Lighthouse tools and Google PageSpeed Insights tools, now is the time to start looking, because as of May, if you're not up there in the top 10%, you're going to start hurting versus your competitors.
Okay, clear.
Big stuff.
Very big stuff. And then they revamped all of their docs.
Oh, this is so good, isn't it?
Yeah, this is awesome. So thank you, our friends at Google, for actually giving your docs a proper site structure.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wonderful to see how what they've done and how they've improved it. It seems like a very simple change when you start with it, and then it all suddenly makes so much more sense. And for people like the two of us who are perusing these docs, well, on a daily basis, it is a very, very welcome change. And I think for everyone, it'll be easier to find stuff.
Yeah, like historically, it's been so fragmented. There's been a section over here for how XML sitemaps work, and a section over here for how images work, and a section somewhere buried over there about some edge case FAQ thing. What they've really done is just re-architected the whole thing, organized it, wrapped it all together, made the navigation really easy. It's so much better. It's really grown up. It's really sophisticated. It feels like they're really making an effort to help people to understand things and find things, whereas before it felt a little bit disconnected. So this is great.
Yeah. The only thing I was a tiny bit sad about is the demise of the word webmaster.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? I really like
the term webmaster. I liked referring to myself as a webmaster. Maybe in 2 years' time, nobody will know anymore what it was, and we can use the term webmaster as guru.
Maybe. I quite like it still. I think it's died a little bit because the days of one person designing, developing, managing, optimizing, and marketing a website have somewhat gone away, because that stuff is all hard and complex, and you need a team of people with different skills. But there is still a role in somebody who understands all of that and oversees it. And I think SEO is maybe as close to that as many disciplines get. I think it's still a nice way of describing that kind of oversight. Oh, well. Never mind.
Well, yeah, we'll see where that goes. So, Google released a new version of their Web Stories plugin. It's looking better and better, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I originally I was a bit on the fence about this. The kind of Instagram bandwagon passed me by a bit. I've never really got on board with the story format, but I can see where this is going, and I can see how important it is for WordPress and for the web. I think this is a huge deal. This is a different type of content that serves different types of needs, that helps different types of users with different types of queries. And you can start to imagine where Google might surface story content instead of, say, an article or an image in the search results. And this toolkit is getting so powerful for authoring this kind of content. It's fluid, it's rich, it's interactive, and they finally, bless them, added all of the support for integrating all the SEO gubbins. So you can now edit your titles and descriptions and canonical tags and all the things you can do in Yoast SEO on a normal page in your stories, which makes them first-class citizens of the web. I think this is awesome. And also, thinking of documentation changes, they are really on top of keeping up to date with how should your canonical tag work on these, and should they be in your XML sitemap? They're really focusing on helping people to get these out in the wild. So if you haven't played already, go wade in. They're production ready, they're handy, they're good, they're different. Have a play.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. I know our content team is looking at it. I hope we'll be doing more stuff with it too. Then this was funny. Google has been testing how-to rich results for desktop for quite some time, and they've now finally rolled them out. And they actually rolled them out slightly bigger than I expected them to. So I was expecting them to just do the 1, 2, 3 thing that you see in the screenshot here, but they actually also added the steps and the time and the materials stuff. Materials is something that I had not even seen on mobile yet, but that they apparently also support on mobile too now.
That's interesting. I missed that. That's good.
So it's something we'll need to add to Yoast SEO because we don't have support for that yet. But we'll add it. But it's very cool to see. Is there anything people should know about this other than how-tos are very easy to make if you use it?
Yeah, the thing you should know is, if you're running Yoast SEO, the how-to block that we have for the block editor does this automatically, right? You just write your how-to guide, and behind the scenes, we write all the schema and structured data that outputs this, which is pretty awesome.
And if you want to make it look as cool as the mobile version there, you do need to add an image to every step, which is quite a bit of work, but it's actually worthwhile. If you look at those snippets, it's gorgeous. It literally takes up more than half the screen. You can't pay for that amount of screen real estate.
No.
Any other way.
The other thing to consider is where you already have content, or where you might be authoring content that is an article or a guide that you might just tweak a little bit and make it into a how-to, or make it contain a how-to. So actively seek these opportunities rather than just saying, I don't have any how-tos, so it doesn't make sense. It's worth chasing these spaces.
Cool.
What else have we got?
We've got more videos because apparently Google is playing with automatic video creation for my web page.
So I think this speaks to the same point as the web stories, right? That there isn't one perfect content format, and different types of people and searches and processes. It might be better to have a video, or to have an image, or to have a web story. But producing video is more complex and more resource intensive and more time consuming often than taking a screenshot or writing a paragraph. So the Google AI blog, which is one of those hidden away sections in their documentation, has a really interesting post about how they crawl and consume and observe web pages, and then understand those pages and their content enough to turn them into a short video. And you get essentially a little animated frame-by-frame process of that web page. It's a really interesting way of consuming content without having to scroll and read big chunks of text. And there's definitely some cases where that might be a much better user experience than a different format. So the bigger thing here is, I think, web pages and your content don't just need to be words on a page, and it's worth taking a bit of time to think, what is the best medium and the best format to produce this in? And you can do maybe multiple formats depending on your audience. But yeah, certainly more than just text on a page is worth considering.
Absolutely, yeah. It's also, yeah, it's a bit scary sometimes, but it's good. I thought this was funny.
Yeah.
John Mueller saying, "Hey, making a sitemap file automatically seems like a minimal baseline for any serious website, in my opinion." Well, John works for Google, as you might know or might not know. Now you do. Him saying this is like, yeah, the baseline for a website is to have an XML sitemap, which is why we added XML sitemaps to WordPress core, which Google actively collaborated with us on, luckily. We're defining the baselines. And him saying this is actually helpful to us, because what we're looking at more and more is like, okay, what is the baseline? What is the minimum viable thing that people should be doing? Because as much as John saying this is nice and fine, there are plenty of systems out there that don't do this.
I worked in website development agencies for years, and almost every single website that we built, I had to fight internally to make a case that we needed things like XML sitemaps. And often it would be the case that the developers would say that will take us 10 extra days, and the project management would say we can't afford that, we can't justify it. It's so nice to have a standard baseline to say this is important, and it's so nice to live in a world where WordPress just does this and so many other things.
I think we should also just keep on pushing Google and saying, okay, so what is the minimum viable product for search?
That'd be really nice. So one of the nice things there, the rest of their documentation does, and the search the not webmaster documentation, is defines basic standards for things like web performance and accessibility. They don't really do that for SEO very well. So yeah, more of that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a great step. And then there was more stuff about updates. So we get bored about updates. You know why we get bored about updates? Because for the large majority of people, stuff doesn't change. Every once in a while, something will change somewhere and people will go, oh, Google did another update. Well, guess what? Google does 500 updates a year. Updates are part of what we do. There is really, really, really no use anymore for chasing the algorithm, as we call it. So just build a better website.
Yeah, there are so many continual minor changes that it's impossible to tie down which ones affected what in what ways. You will never be in a position where you can say the algorithm changed and then I dropped 2 positions on this keyword. It's so much muddier than that and harder to understand. And if all of these changes just in theory help Google do a better job of selecting the right results for the right user for the right question. So invest all of that energy you would about reverse engineering it in making better stuff, and then you don't have to worry. It's not a good use of time to be worrying about updates at all.
Absolutely not. Okay. This has bothered me for years. So Google My Business. It's a lot of businesses have not claimed their own profile still in 2020. And probably still won't have in 2021 because they don't know how and don't know why they should. But what's happening is that people are basically hijacking other people's business listings. And this is becoming problematic, which is sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of power and kind of legitimacy tied to these panels, right? If I search for a business and it says closed, 1 star, bad reputation, that definitely influences what happens next in my purchase journey. So the fact that these are quite fragile when it comes to their security and their ownership, like they're just tied to an email address or a phone call, which if you were nefarious or motivated in certain ways, it's not impossible to blackmail, to cheat, to steal, to confuse your way into getting control of these. I think
it's even worse, though. I mean, I have a level 7 Google Maps account because I've done a lot of reviews, uploaded a lot of photos. I can almost instantly close any shop on Google Maps.
You're reputable.
because I'm reputable. But building that reputation was not that much work. And it might be worthwhile for someone to do that 3 days before Christmas to their competitor.
Yeah, that whole ecosystem feels like it needs
too
more
fragile and it needs fixing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think stuff will happen there, but it's probably going to be in terms of court cases.
Well, actually, if we go back one more just for a second, I think the fix that they're pursuing is this new paid option, right? Where you pay, I think is it $50? I can't remember what the units were.
Yeah, for the verified stuff.
Yeah, and then Google kind of formally verify you. But they're still just essentially either phoning or emailing you, which again, you can push your way through. So yeah, pay to play if you want to avoid the spam, I guess. But then there's so many issues with fake reviews and stuff as well. It feels it's having the same problems that Amazon are with their products market, where it's too easy to game and they need to do something with it.
Yeah, I agree. So Google updated the 2 tools that we never use.
Yes, they did. And most of our watchers probably shouldn't need to use either, so we should probably define these. The Disavow tool lets you say these websites which are linking to mine are bad, and I disavow their links, i.e. I don't trust them or I don't want them. Because as we know, links are a kind of currency in SEO to some degree, and bad sites linking to your site might have some kind of bad effect. Now, that might be true at scale in some scenarios, but day to day for most website owners, if a few dodgy sites link to yours, you shouldn't know or care. And you certainly shouldn't need to be spending time ferreting them out and telling Google that they're bad. Google is smart enough to understand that they're irrelevant, that they might be malicious, manipulative. You don't need to be looking at this. Sorry, go by all means.
Yeah, I know. I just think the only reason you need to look at these is, especially the Disavow one, is if you acquire a domain and point it at your own. So, for instance, just this week, my good friend Bartosz from Poland captured Yoast.pl for us. And we got that domain and we redirected it into Yoast.com. At that point, it might make sense to look at it and see, hey, who was linking to that, and do we actually want those links to count towards a domain? Now, I'm not really worried about Yoast.com because we have so many links that herding out with bad links is basically impossible. But that is one of the things that I can imagine. Other than that, you shouldn't need this tool.
Yep.
If you need to remove outdated content, well, honestly, it's there. Use it, but you should not be in a position where you need it. Now, this is very cool. Let me see if I can get that video to play, because it is actually a video that I just made, and now I can't get it to play. That's
not going to work, is it? You could pull up the Twitter link in a browser, I guess.
Oh yeah, I might be able to do that. Here we go. I think I can't. No, I'm rubbish at this. I'll do that later. Anyway, what you could see here, if this was a video, is that both the Lil Wayne link here and the Cash Money Records link that you see both have this pop-up. So Google is combining content from different websites into one snippet.
This is profound, right? So the model has always been Google scrapes sites, extracts content, and then shows it back. And now what they're doing is taking all of the content they found about the topic and created their own content to answer that question, sourced from multiple different places with multiple different citations. This is Google as the content provider, but sourcing it from elsewhere. And there are interesting technical and legal and commercial questions around this.
There's so many legal repercussions here that I don't want to think about this. I mean, all the stuff that could go wrong with this is both sad and very hilarious. But yeah, no. This combined with all sorts of theories about how politics works could lead to very weird snippets for very weird topics. Yep. We'll see. Okay, that was enough with Google, because there's plenty of other stuff we need to talk about this, because this is the biggest news in the decade. Twitter has launched tweets. And I mean, come on. This is awesome. Twitter now has stories too. And as somebody rightfully said on Twitter, my calculator launched a new feature. It has stories. I honestly, why?
Yeah.
Twitter is fine as it is. Why does it need stories? Why do I need stories everywhere? And when are we done with this format? I'm so done with this format.
Yeah, it's a desperate land grab by every platform to have every feature of every other platform, right? Rather than specializing, and because they each of them, all of their commercial models rely on them having all of the users, which means they've got to have all of the features. Like, no, not really. That's bad.
No, yeah, it's also. I mean, in Twitter, I follow 2,000 and a bit people. I don't want to see 2,000 and a bit people's stories every day. I do actually have work to do. So I don't get how this works. I really don't get it.
No. The biggest news for me on this was they did a really bad job of building it. It is riddled with security holes and permission stuff. Like, even if you delete a fleet, people can still access it via the API. It's really dodgy.
Why am I not surprised? Okay, on to bigger and better things. WordPress news. This is mostly a warning. In WordPress 5.6, the jQuery, which is one of the core JavaScript libraries that underpins a lot of how WordPress works in the admin, will be upgraded to version 3, which is very good news. This basically should have happened a while ago, but it didn't. The problem is that some of your plugins might not work well with this. So please test this before you upgrade to WordPress 5.6 in your admin environment or in your staging environments. And then tell your plugin developers to fix this, because, well, the onus is on them to fix this and make sure that this works. I know we have, but it always worries me when stuff like this happens, because the way JavaScript works is if one plugin breaks JavaScript rendering, all of the JavaScript breaks. So Yoast SEO basically will stop working. You'll think, hey, Yoast SEO is broken, when we're not broken, but some other plugin has faulty JavaScript somewhere, and they're to blame and not us.
And in theory, any good, modern, well-managed, well-developed plugin should be absolutely fine. The risk is going to be older stuff or things which weren't built very well.
Wow, what are we doing?
I've got a headache now.
I didn't know that my scroll wheel could scroll through this so quickly.
That feels like a function that nobody needs to have. Wow.
Okay.
So you should, if you've got a good site with good plugins, you should be fine, but test everything anyway. And if you're running older, kind of more amateur plugins, just double check.
If you're older or custom built or well, yeah, lots of, even in your theme, there could be problems with this. Please test it before you run into any real trouble somewhere. Then there's a huge story from Jonathan DeRocher on the make.wordpress blog on WordPress and PHP 8. We collaborated a lot on this. Well, I didn't, but Omar, our CTO, did, and Sergey and other people on our team. PHP 8 is cool, but it has a lot of changes, and getting prepared for that is quite a bit of work. So no, you can't switch your production servers to PHP 8 yet, because nobody's ready for this yet. Basically, WordPress is working hard to make it work. And in this post, it is outlined what all of this is. Warning up front, that post is like half a book. There is so much to talk about here in this with regards to PHP 8. There's so much stuff that we need to figure out together as a community. We're not there yet. That's fine. Nobody expects to get to start using PHP 8 in production the day after it's released. But it is good for everyone to realize that PHP 8 is coming and that we need to prepare ourselves for it.
And it's going to be great. It's going to make everything faster, more efficient, sleeker, but it's going to take
so much more secure as well. But yeah, no, I really like it. It's also very painful in some regards. So if you're a developer or at some point will need to adapt to this, please read that post. Then I did my semi-annual, is that a word?
We'll take it.
Update of the CMS market share numbers. And we figured out that WordPress is still the biggest CMS out there. Now, also the biggest system in all of these charts, because actually in that chart that you see on the screen here, overtook none, which matters to no one except to the people watching that chart too often. WordPress is still growing fast, though. WooCommerce is still growing fast as part of that. And Shopify is also absolutely amazing in what it's done. They've almost doubled in a year, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, it was cool to look at. So it's good to update it to see that stuff happening. Now, we did more cool stuff. We published a story on open source, which in itself is a great story if you need to explain to someone what open source is and why is open source cool, etc. But it's also, I think, a great thing to show people what the block editor can do. This thing is entirely built in the block editor. It uses a couple of custom blocks, and other than that, it uses core blocks in a cool way. It's the type of publishing that you can do on WordPress without all that, without doing years and years of development work. It's pretty cool. And I'm quite proud of it. So go read it. Now you could talk about this one. Did we do anything cool in 15.3?
We did. He says, frantically scanning his notes. We did. We launched our Zapier integration, which is
Zapier. What is it?
Oh, I wonder if the Zapier is the Americanism. I would say Zapier, but only because I've been conditioned to use Z's instead of S's. I don't know. Let's pick one. Let's say Zapier. Because it's Zaps, isn't it? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so this is super nerdy, but really cool. So Zapier is a piece of kit that allows you to connect things to other things. So you can say, for example, when it rains, turn my heating on. Or when it's Tuesday, make this my start screen on my phone. And there are loads of practical implications, like people use it to connect apps to other apps and systems to different systems. We have used it to connect Yoast SEO to the social media sphere. Is it still a sphere? Is that how we describe social media?
I don't know. Whatever.
So yeah, practically speaking, you can now connect Yoast to through Zapier to Twitter, etc., in order to take automated actions when you post or update a post. I.e., when you hit publish, you can now tweet automatically, and you can configure the heck out of all of that, build custom logic, do cool stuff. It's really awesome. Definitely cool if you're doing kind of plugin-y, themey development stuff.
So you'll be happier if you use Zapier.
No. Oh. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to go there.
Or happier if you use that. No.
Anyway, one of the other things we did that I really wanted to mention is that we combined, whatever you want to call it, our SEO Premium and our Academy products. So if you buy Yoast SEO Premium, you now get access to all of our courses in Yoast SEO Academy. Or the other way around, if you only bought the courses, you now have access to Yoast SEO Premium too. I really like this because it was sort of the missing pin in what we do. In many ways, we need to, we can give you the tool, which is Yoast SEO Premium. We can help you do all the optimization, but you have to actually do it. And for you to do it, you need to know it. And you need to know why you're doing it and what you're doing. And this combination is just that. We tell you everything. We add all of our knowledge, and combined, we have a ton of SEO experience at Yoast. So all of that knowledge is in our courses. And of course, we also embed it in our software, but our software can only go so far. After that, it's up to you to actually fix all the things. So, take advantage of that and combine them. And the good thing is that we did this combination of Yoast SEO Academy and Yoast SEO Premium without changing the price. So still for $89 a year, you get both, which I think is an incredibly good deal. But if you like good deals,
oh, smooth, very
that was
smooth.
smooth, wasn't it? Well, Black Friday is coming up. We haven't announced it anywhere yet because we usually do not announce our sales. But because you are not so nice to listen to us for half an hour rambling about whatever, you'll know that you have to wait with buying that thing for a couple of days. And with that, Paco, I want you back.
Yes, well, I'm back. Don't
Nice.
worry.
And let me stop sharing my screen. If I can figure out how to. I can.
You're done.
Yeah.
All right.
Good work.
So, for everyone watching us on YouTube, please ask your questions in the comments. For everyone watching us on Facebook, same story. You can ask your questions in the comments as well. And if you are following us on Twitter, which is a first, we're also streaming to Twitter today. You can ask your questions by replying to our tweet, and we have an awesome team keeping an eye out on what happens on Twitter, and we will absolutely share your questions here as well. That said, if you want to have your avatar on screen, then obviously you have to use YouTube or Facebook. And how much of a singer are you, Joost?
I don't know. Why?
Well, Himanshu tells us that it's his birthday today. So, you know.
No, we're not going to go there. No,
but congratulations. Yeah.
Happy birthday and happy International Sardines Day. What a great combination of things.
That is a great combination.
So
now,
I'll allow you this shameless plug, Jono, but where did you find that day?
Thank you. So I have a little hobby website called daysoftheyear.com, which lists all of these, which is relevant because it's where I experiment with a whole bunch of SEO stuff and cut my teeth on WordPress and SEO and Yoast. So it's a kind of a bit of a trophy to my journey to getting here and accruing all of this knowledge, which is now available in Yoast SEO Academy.
Nice. Cool. Nice.
So, that question, I saw that question come in and I'm like, yeah, Johnny, that one's yours.
Yeah, this is great. Really nice. So I don't know if I can answer this in official context, but there's loads of AMP stuff in the pipeline. I know that the 2021 roadmap is still being discussed, and we're still, the team is still working out what that looks like. I can tell you there are some interesting things, like Bento AMP is nearly here. So the idea that rather than having to do all of the work of making your page completely AMP, you can just cherry pick bits. So you can use AMP just for your images or just for your sidebar or just for your navigation, for example, which might make gradual adoption easier. It might make partial adoption easier. Like you want the speed advantages, but for whatever reason you can't become AMP compliant. Great. I also know that there are some changes about to arrive, which means you can opt out of caching, and Google's cache in particular. So you can have a valid AMP page, which you don't want to be cached. I think that's interesting for a whole bunch of reasons, technically and politically. But yeah, there's loads of stuff coming. It's very active.
The one we should have mentioned as well is the image tag one. Can we talk about that?
Which one? Oh, yeah, they are. So AMP is deprecating AMP image. So until recently, AMP has required you to use a special AMP image tag. For a whole bunch of reasons, it's part of how AMP works. They take your image and they change it into an AMP image so they know it's compliant. They're going to stop doing that because lazy loading is the main thing that does. And now that lazy loading is much more readily available natively in Chrome and in WordPress, they don't need to do that transformation anymore. So we can ditch this whole AMP image thing and use native images, which is better, it's faster, it's cleaner, it makes AMP easier to adopt. Yeah, there's so much cool stuff coming. It's definitely keep watching it.
I won't push you on the whole wee bit. We'll talk about that.
So unofficially, I may be involved with AMP in some respect, but I can't share details yet.
All right. So we have another question from also a well-known face in WordPress.
Marius.
Yes.
I know that face. Yeah. Would you recommend implementing AMP on an existing site? Well, honestly, we have considered going full on AMP for Yoast.com, and we still might at some point.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest hurdle was that we could actually make it faster without AMP than with AMP, but they seem to be fixing the things that would slow us down. So at that point, we probably might. What I really like about AMP is the constant validation of everything.
Oh yeah.
Because it means that everything that you output basically works. And if we succeed in adding all the bits to AMP that are needed to have an accessible, well-functioning site, and we also get validation, then it means that we can no longer publish content that is not valid.
But images are a really good example, right? So you say, I want an image on my AMP template. It has to be responsive. It has to be fast. It has to be the right format. It has to have an alt attribute. It has to have the right formats. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't validate. So yeah, your quality and your validation are tied together. It's very hard to get stuff wrong. I think just back to the question briefly, I think the idea of having a separate mobile experience optimized needs to go away. That's a hangover from when we had desktop views and mobile views. The world is changing. Everything is device agnostic. And the nice thing that happened, so when AMP was released, one of the approaches was I want to build separate AMP templates for my mobile view. Don't do that. It's not sensible. It's a really bad approach. But now just using AMP to build websites and views that are device agnostic is so much easier than building two different versions of a page. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. More questions, Tucker.
Yes, a completely different question. Yoast SEO Premium, you may have heard about it.
No, I don't know that. So, first of all, if you buy Yoast SEO Premium, as I just told you, you get Yoast SEO Academy as well. And we have some great courses in there on multilingual SEO. I would really suggest watching them because actually multilingual SEO is bloody hard. Yoast SEO Premium has absolutely zero features to do with multilingual websites. At the same time, if you built your multilingual website well, you will still need Yoast SEO Premium to handle all the SEO stuff. So they are not very related at the moment. We don't have any extra features in there for multilingual. We might at some point, but I honestly don't have them on the roadmap at the moment. And since I'm the Chief Product Officer, I should know.
All right. It looks like our YouTube viewers are a little more outgoing today than our Facebook viewers because we're not seeing questions come in from Facebook. So let me check on
Is that because
Facebook itself.
Is that Facebook isn't working? Is it? We didn't do any Facebook news, and now they won't give us any questions. I think that's it.
I don't think there was any Facebook news.
No, no. The tiny bit of Facebook news we saw, we scrapped because it was basically not interesting enough to talk about. Anyway, what I do want to say to everybody is enjoy your Black Friday. If you're in the US, enjoy Thanksgiving. Please do so safely because we need to get rid of this COVID virus because I want to travel again, please. Then we'll see you afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that we'll close our webinar on time on schedule.
I love it.
I do have to apologize to all our viewers who noticed that the webinar said that it would be October. That is obviously not the case. It's already November. So I might have made a small copy-paste error there. So apologies. Next webinar will definitely be in December. We won't do October again.
No. October was heavier on the news though. But anyway, yeah, December, and actually a bit earlier in December, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. If I'm not mistaken, it will be in just over 2 weeks. Shall we make that 3 weeks? 3
we
weeks.
really need to make some news soon.
Yeah, we'll have to invent some
Yeah.
news. Okay.
All right. So Jono, keep working on that AMP. Yoast, bring all those new features to Yoast SEO.
I might have something to talk about in a couple of weeks.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Nice one.
and
Thank you very much.
See you
Thanks,
next
everyone.
month.
Bye-bye.